And that hasn't changed to the present day. We should be getting paid 50% divvied up by the whole workforce, right? If our entire GDP is $24 trillion, and you divide that in half, you get 12 trillion, right? And then you divide that by the workforce, which is 155 million. Each person in America should be receiving, on average, a end of year or monthly bonus, whatever you want to shake it, that adds up to $77,419.35 based on our current GDP, which I don't think it's 24 trillion. I think the current US GDP is 28 trillion, actually. Oh, it's 29. So 29 divided by 2 is what, 14 and a half? So 14.5 divided by 155. Oh, I'm sorry. We should be getting $93,548.39. So, let me repeat this. Every American worker should, on average, be receiving $93,548.39 for their labor, their contribution to the profit. Half of all generated revenue, technically. But, right, GDP is gross domestic product, right? So that would be technically revenue, not necessarily profit. You get where I'm going with this, right? We produce 93,000, and then I think when you do the profits, it's still a significant sum of that. So let's just call it 30%, right? 30,000. It doesn't matter what the number ends up being. The fact is, we are all wage slaves. Over 60% of Americans who are working live in poverty, and we should be getting tens of thousands of dollars back in the profit that we generate, and we don't. So it has nothing to do with illegals. It's nothing to do with black folks. It has nothing to do with Muslims. It has everything to do with capitalists, which is why my policies are anti-capitalism and pro-Ronanism. So, well, let me explain what that is for those of you who are new and may not be familiar with it. Ronanism is a combination of socialism and communism, the two scary words, in a way that actually benefits the people, right? Communism is state control of all industry and therefore surplus value. Socialism is where people are in control of all industry and all surplus value. Well, that's all well and dandy, right? But when you have 155 hands in the kitty, 155 million hands in the kitty, it starts getting a little wonky, right? Too many hands in the pot, causing problems, right? So the ideal situation then would be for public ownership of all industry, banking, medical, education, infrastructure, manufacturing, right? All of it is owned by the people, primarily owned by the people. But it is managed by the government through the consent of the people, like direct consent, meaning if the people do not like the way that the government is managing their resources, right? They're the people, then the people have the right to remove that person, RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth, whoever the fuck the wrestling lady is from the Department of Education. And I don't even know who the Department of Transportation Secretary is. And HUD. I don't know who that is either. But for instance, we would be able to be like, nope, those two are gone. They are no longer in charge of these various areas. And with that, the government has to comply because, again, the people own it. They also then own the profits. And the idea would be that the people agreed to a certain percentage of the profits being distributed to the government so that the government can provide the basic needs of the people, which would be infrastructure, healthcare, education, roads, utilities, so on and so forth, right? And that fundamentally is how things should run. The government should always serve the needs of the people. And if you get rid of corporations, or at the very least corporate leadership, if you get rid of the capitalist, right, the for-profit motivation, if you get rid of the for-profit mechanism in its entirety, then the only thing government can do is serve itself or serve the people. Well, if you give government the opportunity to choose, it's going to serve itself. And now you have the same profit motive, but for the sake of government, which is no different than capitalism. Hence why I don't necessarily believe that communism would be the solution to poverty and economic inequality. I also don't believe socialism would be purely the solution to the problem, because then you have a problem with distribution and hierarchy chains, right? You have a problem with that because, well, if we're all on the same level, then, well, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't have to listen to you. And then that breaks down, right? You still need infrastructure, and you still need hierarchy. You still need somebody to think and do, right? And an agreed upon way to do that, which tends to be government when we're talking about nations. So, people own the means of production. They own all the profits. They get to determine all that shit, right? Their rights are guaranteed because they control that shit. And the government facilitates all those things through the consent of the governed. What takes it a step further is the fact that my administration is going to pass legislation that guarantees unalienable rights as a second Bill of Rights, which would be your healthcare, your education, your housing, your guaranteed minimum wage, guaranteed retirement, right? All of these things, guaranteed access to utilities, water, food, so on and so forth, right? Labor rights will be enshrined in this second Bill of Rights. It'll be guaranteed, which then turns government into essentially a true defined administration. You have your logistics administration, you have your distribution, well, that would be logistics. You'd have your industrial administration, which determines inputs, outputs. And then you have the actual admin, the literal HR aspect of it, taking care of people and making sure that the monies get sent to where the monies need to go. That's the difference between socialism, communism, mixtures of socialism and communism, and Ronanism, which takes the elements, the best elements of socialism, the best elements of communism, and the best elements of democracy, and codifies them into an actual form of government. So we are losing jobs that Americans did not want to do. Correct. And they're not being replaced because Americans don't want to do them, and then when they try, they really don't want to do them. The farmers are crying about it. That's why Trump said they'd stop targeting farms for ICE raids, and yet they I don't think they actually did. And if they did, it's only not being reported as much. Restaurants are understaffed, cleaning companies are understaffed, right? Like, every major labor industry is understaffed because of these ICE raids. Every time I spend thinking about the world, conservatism makes less sense to me. Facts. And the worst part is, when I first got into politics, I thought I was a conservative because I was like, oh yeah, I want to make sure people have access to healthcare and education and roads, clean drinking water. I think we need to regulate businesses and industries. Yeah, we should have better trade relationships with our foreign neighbors. We should improve interracial and cultural differences so that we can become the true melting pot of the country. Yada, 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 right? And then I looked up all of those policies and which party that actually fell under, and it was the Democrats. Granted, on paper. Back in 2013 or whatever. And I was like, well, that's odd. Why would well, then what does the Conservative Party stand for? And it's like money, 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 capitalism, money, money, pedophilia, money, 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 racism. money, 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 transphobia, money, 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 xenophobia. And I'm like, oh, well, that's weird, because I thought we fought a war over this in the 1940s against a very specific group of people who espoused all these things, and we unequivocally agreed that those things were bad. And to the point where now not both parties believe in the same shit. It's just the Democrats are trying to be shy about it. Like, oh, we're not racist, but we're willing to sacrifice the transgenders. Oh, we're not transphobic, but we're willing to sacrifice the immigrants. Oh, we're not anti-immigrant, but we're definitely willing to sacrifice Palestinians. Oh, we're not anti-Semitic and we care about the genocide that's happening in the Middle East, but we're not going to stop funding Israel. Right? So Democrats are literally the problem. Like, not figuratively, not metaphorically, no hyperbole. They are and I would argue that they are worse, because they are aiding and abetting the party that is doing it overtly while pretending they are not supporting it. Except every piece of legislation that this administration wanted passed has gotten passed. Every nomination they wanted got nominated. Every meaningful check or balance to this administration has been curbed with Democratic support. So, no. Democrats are very much so complicit.